and welcome to this special interview event. My name is Jessica Nip, and today I will be speaking with APNPI's 2019 Photographer of the Year, Liana McCorkle of Little Lullaby Photography. Hello, welcome, and a huge congratulations, Liana.
Thank you so much.
Before we get to our interview, I just want to share a little brief overview of how APNPI arrives at this designation of Photographer of the Year. Basically, in order to be eligible, a photographer would have achieved accreditation in one of the categories with APNPI and have the highest average winning scores across their 2 image competitions during the year, which basically means Liana was very busy last year. So congratulations again. So Liana, what does this designation of Photographer of the Year mean to you?
It means so much to me on 2 different levels, really. I mean, first of all, to be Photographer of the Year, it's huge. It means that all of the work that I put into this is actually producing something that other people enjoy, which is so important and really special to me. But secondly, because it's through APNPI and there's such a strong focus on what's happening behind the scenes in these sessions and safety of those precious little newborns, that's why I joined this organization, to be a part of it. So it makes me even more proud for the award.
It's an amazing accomplishment. Can you share a little bit about how you got started in photography and maybe a little bit about your journey from the very beginning to this latest recognition?
Sure, yes. Well, this is my 21st year as a professional photographer. I've been doing this a long time. Thank you. So I actually started in high school. I was home educated, and one of my subjects that I chose to study was photography. So starting back in 4-H, I was entering little minor competitions and fell in love with photography. Absolutely fell in love with it. And during my open house for high school, we did big open houses in the Midwest, and everyone came to celebrate, high school graduation. I had 3 people approach me to photograph their wedding. So
high school. Wow.
High school. Yeah, so I started my business by photographing weddings. And I would even have the people sign a contract saying I was an amateur professional. I don't even know what that means, but telling them that I wasn't even guaranteeing their work. I didn't have the background and the education that I needed to be a real professional. So I kept my prices really low and started working hard and getting my education in the hard way, behind the scenes. So I did weddings for over a decade. Went to work for a studio in Michigan, and that's where I learned a lot of my studio work in lighting and the camera work is completely different than your natural lighting, for weddings. Went to school for photography, Central Michigan University, go Chips. And of course did a lot more studio work there. That's where I learned Photoshop and a lot of the detail work, From there, I worked with high school seniors and families. I did children photography. And it wasn't until I got pregnant with my first daughter that I even considered the genre of maternity and newborn and just, mostly studio work. But I knew I didn't want to do nights and weekends anymore, doing all the weddings. And so I decided to research newborn photography and came across photographers like Anna Brandt, who had, they're just everywhere. So Anna Brandt was my first idol, and I had a couple of other people that I followed and learned from. And it was a massive learning curve, going from weddings with adults to these little babies who were laying flat and all the safety behind it and everything. But I fell in love with it. Totally fell in love with it. So I've been doing these genres. My daughter just turned 8. So for almost 9 years. And
so half the time, almost half and half.
Almost half and half. Yeah, absolutely love it. Absolutely.
Oh, that's wonderful. So you did go to school for photography and started in high school, went to school for photography, and here you go. But you mentioned Michigan, and now you're in Arizona. So what took you to Arizona, if you don't mind me asking?
Not at all. I'm actually a Phoenix native. So my family and I moved when I was 15. We moved to Michigan. So high school and then college was there. And I moved back in 2005. I don't know if you guys remember, a major crash, and Michigan pretty much went under. Like nobody had jobs. It was terrible, the big economy crash. So I moved back in 2005 because Michigan was so hard hit. The wedding industry especially was hit very hard. So 2005 came back to Phoenix, and I've been here ever since.
And is that when Little Lullaby Photography started, or is that name have to do with your daughter, or is there any significant, or is it just a name you like? What's the significance behind that?
It's not when I started Little Lullaby. I was still doing weddings when I moved back here.
Okay.
I got pregnant with my daughter in 2011. So Little Lullaby started just after that, right around beginning of 2012. Significance of the name, I liked it. My name is impossible to pronounce and spell, so there was no way I could use my name as my business name. So I had to come up with something that was simple for people to spell and look up and find me.
And it's a beautiful name.
Thank you.
Yes. So let's move on to your beautiful images. So I'm going to do a little screen share. And for our viewers, we're going to look through the images that Liana submitted in 2019. And they're all the winning images from the image competitions. And she will be commenting on a couple of them. And yeah, let me just share the screen. And we will be able to see your lovely, lovely work. Okay, do you see this image, Liana?
I do.
Okay, so this was one of her images that she submitted last year, and it in the newborn category, and titled Best Friends, and it won 3rd place. It's beautiful. This was in spring 2019. And let me move to the next one that she submitted that spring, which is in the maternity category, which won 1st place. Beautiful. Look at those colors. And in the fall of 2019, she submitted this newborn image, which won 2nd place and a silver distinction. And I think Liana will share a little bit about how she took this image, maybe a little bit about the story behind it and her process.
Sure. Absolutely. I'd love to share just a little bit about my creative process. And I know everyone's is different, and how you come up with ideas and whatnot. For me, this image actually started with the little piece of jute. I think it's jute that goes around the outside, or bamboo. I found this piece and fell in love with it. I'm a big texture person. So once I found the piece, I kind of build my set off of that. I love the green with the tone of the jute or the bamboo. Whoever made this is going to be so upset with me that I don't know what it is.
I think it's jute. I think jute. Okay. or raffia, maybe. Possibly. Some kind of natural material. This is the lining.
The texture piece.
Yes, the texture. Yes.
Yes. So I loved the green with it, and knew instantly that's what I wanted to use once I saw it on the green in the studio, and had to go shopping then to find some flowers, and fell in love with the texture of these flowers and their size. I love making baby. It's hard when you're taking images of baby alone to see how small they are. Mm-hmm. And so having something to represent how tiny they actually are, and to be able to remember that, is important to me. So finding these flowers, I felt, would help, show the size of that baby. And then from there, just working in pieces that went with baby's skin tone, and a little bit of popping of the light color under her, so she didn't kind of disappear into it. But brilliant. That's more of how my process works, is starting with one piece and building from there. So the first image might not be where I land. I might add more things to it as I'm going, and looking behind the camera and deciding what I want to change.
So did you set it all up before the baby arrived, and you had to plan? Okay.
Yeah, I do. Any of my new sets, I typically do a day before, or before the baby gets there, and I want to make sure that I love what I'm seeing in the camera. Before I ever bring a subject in. It makes the session go more smoothly, and it also allows the time for the creativity, so you don't feel like you're being rushed through it based on, you know, how baby's doing in the moment.
That's wonderful. I love it. That's beautiful. It's such a gorgeous image. Congrats on this one. Okay, so we'll continue scrolling. Here is another one from the fall in the milestones category. Look how adorable this is. You were very busy in the fall last year.
Yes.
So the rest, for our viewers, the rest of these images are from fall 2019. This one was in the creative category. And this image was from fall 2019 in the maternity category. Would you like to speak about this one, Liana?
Sure. This mama came in just absolutely gorgeous. All my mamas come in gorgeous, but she was very unsure of herself, very self-conscious. So working with the mamas in finding the posing that just shows off and highlights their best features, and, you know, lessens their features that they're not so proud of. That's what we're doing with these pieces. So for me, I look for colors that are kind of complement their skin. So she was looking more towards the lighter, like the mint tones and whatnot. And I just kind of worked with her and her skin tones and got her to try on the jewels, and she fell in love with it. So looking for those different pieces that bring all the tones together, the deep tones of the backdrop, the deep tones of the dress, and then highlighting her skin tone and hair.
I love that she trusted you to try on this dress that she didn't initially
Me too.
Want to try.
Yeah, it does take trust for sure.
Yes. Okay, let's move on to, there's two more. This one it won first place, and it is just absolutely stunning. And I think this was one that you wanted to. Okay, we have this beautiful image submitted in fall 2019 in the maternity category. And Liana, would you like to speak to this one, because it's stunning?
Sure. I love this image so much. This mama came in and had tried on a couple of different gowns, and I asked her to try on this one. She just had a very fluid way of carrying herself, and I wanted to kind of show that off in the picture. So something that had fluidity to it as well. So again, kind of like I talked about in the newborn picture, I kind of build my images as I'm going, you know, working with the subject and their tonality of their skin, and also their personality. So because she had such a fluidity to the way that she moved and worked her body, is the reason that we had pulled this gown out, which looked amazing on her, and took her over to the natural light area just because I felt like it was very feminine feel. But as soon as I got her over there and started shooting, I'm like, we need to add a little fan and bring in some movement. Oh, you know what? Let's use these curtains and kind of add to that fluidity and the movement in the image. And so it's just kind of a constant building until I'm like, yes, that's the shot I wanted, you know, just working with it.
So it sounds like there are times when you are inspired by fabric and materials and other aspects, and you create something that you hope will come to life. And then there are other times, like this maternity session, where it's the client that inspires you to play around.
Absolutely. When someone walks in, you know, and with the babies, typically people are sending me pictures ahead of time, so I can do more planning ahead of time. But with the parents, I don't often know what they look like, you know, what their skin tone is and their hair color is. And so it's not until they actually come into the studio that I'm able to start imagining and creating in my head and developing what I want that session to be.
I can really sense that your clients must really trust you, and you build a really great relationship with them either beforehand or during, because it shows that your images show that they really trust you to do what it is that you do, and to do it well, because obviously, clearly, being photographer of the year, you're able to make your vision come to life, and that is truly amazing.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I believe we have a couple more to share. This was from the fall as well. First place in the newborn category. I see the use of textures here again.
Big texture fan.
Yes, and then this beautiful milestones image in the milestones category. Let's talk about this one because it is gorgeous. Look at that mom.
This is another one where luckily my clients do trust me. Mom had come in and originally wanted just a child session. And at the end she had asked, you know, can we get a couple shots of me with my daughter? And I said, absolutely. But she had come in an outfit that she wanted photographed, which was, if I remember correctly, like a light blue and a white. For me, just didn't go with the skin tones very well at all. So I asked her if she would be open to some suggestions of mine, and immediately was drawn to the mauve tones for her. So pulled something out for her and pulled something out for baby and pulled a backdrop and just started bringing it all together. And I just love the tones on these two, and they are so beautiful. This little girl is such a sweetheart. So that really helps the image as well. But it's back to that client trust. I'm so happy that my clients give me that freedom to be able to switch things up and create something that they'll love.
And you mentioned the mother's dresses from your wardrobe. Was the baby's outfit as well?
Yes, yes. Yep, so just picking pieces that not necessarily match, but all of the tones come together with the backdrop, and of course the lighting according to the backdrop. And I love it. I love pulling everything together and creating something pretty.
Can you just speak about a little bit about the backdrop used in this image? Because I notice it has some floral elements or some kind of design. Is that something that you have in your studio or something you do afterwards during editing?
Sure. Yeah, this one is actually a printed backdrop. I love the printed backdrops because it really limits the editing time. If it's lit correctly, you can get almost straight out of camera exactly what you're looking for. So you're just dealing with fine tuning the edit. So this is actually what's called a sweep. It's just a one-piece fabric backdrop that goes from the wall to the floor, just like you would use seamless paper. So you're working with all of the elements right there, straight out of camera.
And I know the previous image, the maternity one, was natural light. You mentioned bringing the mother to the window, but I think all the others seem to be or appear to be with your studio light. Is that what you shoot with the majority of the time?
Yes. So primarily I am studio light. Being in Phoenix, Arizona, it is hot here a lot of the time. So we don't shoot natural light too often. We have a giant door that actually opens up. So we are open to the air in order to shoot natural light. So we shoot studio mostly and natural light when it's nice weather.
Wonderful that you can be flexible and use either one whenever you need to.
For sure.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we will continue with a few other questions for you. So those were the images from last year that Leanna submitted. What is your process for selecting the images for competition purposes? Do you have a process that you go through?
Yes. So initially I'm looking for what everyone calls impact. You know, would someone else find this image appealing? Is this something that someone wants to look at? Is it drawing their attention? What is the story behind the image? Does it make the person look a second time? So that's kind of the first element that I'm looking for in an image, even before I'm looking for the technical piece. If I feel like it has the impact, then I'll take it through and I'll look at the technical portion of it. And am I happy with the lighting? Is it exactly how I wanted it? And was my posing the way I really wanted it? And go through that piece. So those are the two main elements that I'm looking for before I submit a piece for competition.
And do you have a few, I probably the ones that we just saw, but are there moments after you've taken an image where you know that that's going to be one for a competition, or that's just something special? Are there times where you get that feeling after pressing the shutter?
Definitely. Yes. So some of the times I'm specifically doing something for competition. You know, I've had an idea in my mind and I've been working it for a while and I'm creating it specifically for competition. And other times you're just in that creative moment with the client and it just grows into something so beautiful. You're like, yes, yes. And
It's a wonderful feeling.
yes, absolutely.
Well, we've gone through your images. We've congratulated you on your wonderful achievement. What's next for you? Maybe in 2020 or 2021, professionally in your business?
Yes, so lots of changes coming up. I have been sharing a studio space with a photographer. Most everyone knows I've worked out of my home for the last 7 years,
Wow.
and moved to a commercial space about a year ago. And we've been sharing a space, which has been fabulous. We have a beautiful location and it's been a lot of fun, but I'm ready to move on to my own space and expand a little further. So looking for a new commercial location at this time.
Oh,
And
that's very
definitely,
exciting.
it is. And definitely want to delve more into competitions and more into teaching. I absolutely love teaching. So working more on some online tutorials and some in-person as well. So excited about that.
That does sound exciting. Where can people find you and find information on on your work and on your mentorship and workshops?
Right on my website. I actually have a page that's designed for photographers only, and they can go on there to find out what I have coming up and what's available currently.
And I'm just going to make sure I have it correct. That would be www.littlelullabyphotography.com.
That's correct.
Okay. And Liana also has a Facebook and Instagram page. Not sure if she's on other social media sites, but you can check out her website and it'll link you to those other areas from there. So thank you again, Liana, for taking the time to do this interview for us at APNPI. We really appreciate all your work and your knowledge, and I'm sure we will see more from you.
Thank you so much, Jessica.
Bye.